So now we can level up and get the second part of their tails. So we can now finally go with the levels in Arcane Archer, which is pretty neat. The first level already allows enchant arrows +1, so all arrows are now +1 enchantment, meaning they do +1 extra damage and can start piercing through magic resistance and such, which is very good. Second level is also fun when we still can start shooting fireball arrows. So yeah, but this is kind of what we're going to be leveling in for a while. Now let's see how we are with skills with this. So let's see, we probably cannot go further in. Let's see, the thieving. Yeah, open lock and disable device are now no longer class skills, I believe. Yeah, no, they're no longer class skills, so we won't be leveling up with that. So we'll probably return to Persuade also isn't. That is very unfortunate. Move silently isn't, but I really don't want to be sneaking that much. There's lore we could still take. I guess we'll put some points in lore. That might be handy, so we have like items to identify and such. Maybe we can go with spots. For now I think we'll just save that 1 point we have left. Yeah, and we get a lot more hit points with this class as well, so that's nice too. So yes, Child Arrow. Oh, he immediately levels up to a blue outfit. Okay there, Tommy. That's not very stealthy, but I suppose it works.
Eh? What can Tommy do for you?
And we'll continue hearing our companions' tales then, the second part. So I want to talk with you. So I'd like you to continue your story from before. Righto, I was telling you about Tommy's big plan to ruin old Tommy, wasn't it? Sammy's big plan to ruin old Tommy, wasn't it? Oh yeah. So Sammy concocts this plan to have little old Tommy thrown in prison, just like he'd been. He was going to steal some of the most fabulous gem in Kalimshan, and I was to take the blame for it. If he could manage to steal it, wouldn't that already make him famous? I didn't say that Sammy was the smartest halfling on the block. In his mind, having me stuck in Kalimshan side prison and ravaged daily by burly convict cellmates was worth almost any price. Kinky, continue on. Ah, Sammy. Maybe he still resented me from seeing both his lady friends. Actually, I stole his wife too. Nah, that was years before that. Anyway, since Sammy wasn't so skilled, he had to get some help. Ended up leveraging himself to a rather nasty elf by the name of Rhaegar. Rhaegar, that doesn't sound like a very elven name, but okay, I'll take your word on it. It might be a pseudonym or something. Rhaegar was good. He was also the meanest rogue in Kalimshan, and Sammy had practically become his servant to get him to agree. Rhaegar was also a pretty good Palamar, though Sammy didn't know that. Thing was, I'd already been planning the heist for that duel myself all along. When Rhaegar tipped me off about Sammy's plan, I laughed so hard I just needed to pee my pants. My britches here. So what did he do? I did the only thing I could, of course. I went and made my plan on my own and went ahead with the heist. Until the night of the heist, I didn't let on that I knew what Sammy was up to. He acted all innocent, of course. Didn't say a word to me, even told me to get lost. It was quite a ruse, I tell you, but I saw through it all. He was no friend of mine after all. He had become my arch nemesis. It sounds more like you were his arch nemesis. What? Why would you think that? Well, there was this one time I told Rock the Crusher that Sammy stole his hammer and not me. But Sammy forgave me, and after he healed, I swear. Yes, I am sure he forgave you. You have such great insight into people. Still, I only wanted to teach Sammy a lesson. What happened to him that night in the house was quite tragic. Oh, I'll laugh if you wish, my lord, but it's truly awful. One thing I regret about my life. I'll have to tell you about it sometime. Here, let's just continue on with our quest. I don't think want to think about Sammy any longer. And we can kind of go reverse order now. That would be handy.
I've been waiting for you. I suspected you would return. Do you need me to join with you once more?
Yes. My blade is yours to command.
Yes?
So
Is
let's
there
have
something
words.
you need?
Let's tell him to level up as well. I think he still has the same
Is
armor.
there something you need?
Alright, now let's talk. Continue your story from before about Luskin. I wish to be ready for that city. I suppose I owe you an explanation of my days in Luskin, Elswan. After all we have been together. As I told you, I went to Luskin in search for glory and honor, but there's no honor to be found in that wretched city. At first, I found a warm welcome in Luskin. Half-orcs are accepted there as nowhere else, and I quickly found work as a soldier serving on the one of the High Captain's ruler of the city. It was bloody, brutal work. Soldiers from different factions were always battling in the street. Many men died by my hand during my weeks there. I killed them because I was paid to kill them. Because they served a different master. There was no honor in these battles, Elswan. Only senseless, shameful death. Yes, death. Great death. Shut up, I'm not talking with you, freak. You will be talking to me when you're dead, Silent Lord, yada yada. Well, if you hadn't killed them, they would have killed you, so it's only fair. You don't understand, Elswan. All the killing, all the bloodshed. I liked it. It stirred my soul. Each morning I could taste the coming battle on my tongue and feel the rush of combat in my veins. I reveled in the slaughter like an animal, like a beast. It fed my dark taint of my father's orc blood and left a stain on my soul. Oh, aren't we being dramatic? I will use this in the story, surely. I do not know how far I would have fallen had fate not intervened to save me from myself. What do you mean, fate intervened? My fury in battle earned me a promotion. I was sent to the Luskan flesh markets to guard slaves in their stockades. The first night at the stockades, the guards brought me a new batch of slaves. Among them was an old man, naked and feeble. I recognized the tattoos on his face as markings of an Uthgard holy man. I did not know him, he was from another tribe, but seeing him brought in, hands shackled behind his back, brought shame crashing down upon me. And you helped him escape, I assume? At first I did nothing. The old man looked at me as he passed, and I saw in his eyes that he knew I was one of the Uthgard, and he knew what I had become. Without warning, the old man threw himself at the nearest guard, a foolish gesture of defiance, for he was still shackled and bound. He was knocked to the floor, and the guards began to beat him. My world vanished beneath a veil of blood-red rage. When I came to my senses, I stood bathed in gore, and the other guards in the stockades all lay dead by my hands. And what about the old man? The old man lay bleeding on the floor, stabbed by one of the guards during the fight. As I crouched over him, I saw his wounds were fatal. He gazed up at me and spoke in a voice choked with blood. Free the others. With my axe, I hacked away at the chains of the other slaves in the stockade. Once they had all fled into the night, I returned to the old man's side. Go, he said in his dying breath. I could do nothing more for him, so I fled before my actions were discovered. I left Luskan that night, A man saved from himself by another sacrifice. Ooh, that is nice and tragic and poetic. I like it. I'll write this down. We all have our darker sides, Dalen. You faced yours and triumphed over it, in a way. I thank you for your words, Elswan, and I would like to believe you, but I know what I did in Luskan. I know the vile appetites I had fed. I cannot deny my father's blood is within me. I can only hope to overcome this blight so that I may someday prove my spirit worthy of the Ulfgard. Only then will my tribe welcome me back. Until then, it is my burden to bear. One of many. What do you mean, one of many? Forgive me, Elswan, you've been a good friend to listen to my tale, but there are some things I am not ready to share with you. This is not the time to speak of such. Let's root out the cult first. Yeah, okay. Alright, next to the killer who does not have compulsions on such things.
I suspected you would return. Do you need me to join with you once more?
Yes, let's go. And together we shall rain blood and death upon this world.
Is there something you need?
So yeah, we'll let him level up. Ooh, he gets now proper black robes. This is much more appropriate, I feel.
Is there something you need?
Let's speak, Grimlaw, and continue your story from before. Earlier I mentioned my order's hatred of the abomination that is undeath, Elswan, and I hinted at my own experience battling such evil. How poetic that you're going to end up working with a lich down the line, but we'll see that in I guess, Hordes of the Underdark. I'm not eager to dredge up those memories, but if we are to stand together, you deserve the tale. What happened? Shortly after I'd come to join the Order of the Long Death, one of my fellow monks returned to the monastery with ill news. He had discovered the lair of a powerful lich. Our service to the Silent Lord demands that we destroy such an affront to death, so we marched forth to destroy the foul creature and end its unholy existence. I myself never faced a lich in battle. Faced the lich in battle, okay. But I was one of the many assigned to the task of destroying the lich's zombie and skeleton service. Never have I felt such revulsion and terror during battle. What was so scary about zombies and skeletons? They aren't so tough. We faced that on our first journey together, many of them. There is a beauty in death, the exquisite agony of a mangled soldier's screams well up in the glorious crescendo before ending in a single perfect note of the eternal silence. The writhing torment of a flailing body is transformed into a magnificent truth of a frozen corpse forever stilled. But when a corpse is not still, when the dead continue to shamble and stumble forward in a gross caricature of living flesh, where's the death's beauty then, Elswan? I didn't realize you were so squeamish. My order killed scores of zombies in the crypt that day, Elswan. Their bodies disintegrated beneath my blows in a shower of rotting flesh, yet pressed inexorably forward. But the true horror was yet to come. From the back of the tomb, where the highest-ranking monks of the order battled the Lich herself, waves of dark necromancy spilled forth over the battlefield. Several of my companions had fallen during the battle, and as the foul spells touched their corpses, they clambered to their feet, zombies under the will of the enemy we sought to destroy. So you had to kill the corpses of your own. We do not fear death, Elswan, and had I been able to bring the Silent Lord's touch to my fallen comrades, I would not have felt such revulsion at the memory. But a zombie has no mind, it feels nothing. The pain that purifies and prepares us for death has no effect on such creature. The understanding that comes from during such moments of death is forever denied such a creature. I destroyed the animated lumps of flesh, and that were once my brothers and sisters in the Order, but I could not truly kill them. The undead can never be given such release. And did the Lich fall that day? The Lich was destroyed, as were all its minions. We burned its lair, setting fire to the crypt, so that the dark magic might be cleansed from such a sacred place of death. But even though we were ultimately victorious, the cost was terrible. The horror of the battle still haunts me, as does the fate of my fallen brothers and sisters in the Order. The zombies used to be your friends, and they are destroyed, Grimnar. Dead is dead. You couldn't possibly understand, Elswan. You are a harbinger of death, but you not understand, as we of the Long Death do. The true horror of what happened to my brothers and sisters is too terrible to comprehend, but I have vowed to free them from the torment of their undeath. And how do you plan to do that? You are a servant of the Silent Lord, Elswan. You bring death and pain to the world. Yet even you are not a member of the Long Death. My order has secrets I am not yet ready to share with you. It's not the time to speak of such. Let's go root out the cult. Okay. So that's his second chapter. We'll get the show in.
I suspected you'd show up here soon. I'm glad to see I was right. So, shall we join up once more?
Yep. Okay,
Yes?
now
Is there something you need?
you can level up as well. Ooh, she goes into white and black. I feel the red suits her better.
Yes? Is there something you need?
Let's talk for a while. Continue the story. What went wrong with that Athkatla noble court? I had mentioned the invitation from Athkatla, hadn't I? Yes, that's right. We went through. I had a sense of foreboding about it the entire way. The city of Coin lived up to its name. It was a golden, bustling place that unrivaled even the Great Waterdeep. The palace we arrived at was larger than any building I'd ever seen. Yes, it is quite a place. I've been there myself. Did a bit of work there. Deadly work. Dannon assured me that we would find our fortunes there, and for a while I thought he might be right. We were to play before a famously wealthy Lord and Lady Onaris, and all seemed well. How did this Lord and Lady even know you? That was my question, certainly, and not one that anybody seemed able to answer. The slaves doted on us, yet simply stared blankly when we asked anything. Nothing went wrong at first. Dan and I were pampered and prepared for our performance, and it went off without any problems. We sang in a great ball hall before several hundred nobles. It still takes my breath away to think about it, and the applause for the duet was thunderous. I remember being exhilarated and pleased, as Dannon was. It was then that Lord and Lady Onaris came to greet us in person. Lord Onaris was a fat, simple man who seemed bored. The lady, however, seemed an exotic beauty, violet eyes, elven features. Oh, great. An astounding gown. Every man watched as she passed. Did you ask then why they invited you? Of course I asked why we were invited. Lady Onaris ignored me and fawned over Dannon, saying how she had spotted him in a lovely tavern in Baragos and had wanted to meet him. I had been in Baragos too, of course, but I was completely ignored. She cooed over Dannon, and he was flushed with pleasure at her attention. He agreed readily for a year-long contract to perform. Of course, I was not happy about it. Dannon calmed me later and assured me that there was nothing to worry about, nothing that could be further from the truth. Ah, yes, so she was the woman he tells you not to worry about. Classic. So did he leave you for the lady then? Not right away. I fought for him. I thought our love would endure. Things weren't exactly as they seemed, however. That is a tale to continue another time, however. I tire of thinking about Dan and Elswan. Let's do something else. Okay, well that was a short one. Then we just have Bobby and returning to Linu.
You're back, so you must need something. The most logical assumption is that you want me to join up with you again, correct?
Correct. Okay then, let's go. And we level
Is
him
there
up
something
as
you need?
well. Hey, pretty
there
much has the
something you
same
need?
outfit. Let's talk for a bit. Continue your story about the guarding and all that. I'm sure I'll be fascinated. Oh, this seems difficult for me to speak of, Elswan. What happened between my father and I, our falling out? It is a painful memory. But maybe if I share a tale with someone else, I can ease some of the pain and guilt I feel of what happened. That is a logical assumption, isn't it? Sure, what happened? My father's days of groundbreaking research in agronomy are behind him. He is an old man, content to putter in his own garden, happily living out his days among friends and family. But even if he still receives gifts of strange and exotic plants from distant lands, so he can add them to his garden. It is said that in the spring, when the flowers bloom in my father's yard, it's the most beautiful place in Lantan. It was truly in his pride and joy. Let me guess, you destroyed his garden. Did you have a dog, perhaps? No. I wish that had been the only consequence of my action, Elswan. My father asked me to tend to his garden for a few weeks, while I went to visit a friend on the other side of the island. Everything went well in the first week. I found the work quite enjoyable, though hardly as stimulating as my own sorcerer studies. I even came up with a more efficient watering system he could use on his own plants. But in the second week, I noticed the beginning of a rotweed infestation. And rotweed? I've never heard of that, but it sounds bad. Rotweed is a vile, noxious crawling vine with a foul, pungent odor. Unchecked, it will overrun any garden in a matter of weeks, choking out the life from every other plant. Even worse, the roots release a powerful toxin into the earth, poisoning the soil so nothing else will grow on the land for years. And like most unwanted garden guests, rotweed is virtually impossible to kill. So what did you do? The only way to deal with the rotweed is through fire, directly applied to the vines. If you can make the fire hot enough, the flames will absorb into the plant and burn it down to the root, killing the weed. Not sure that fire works like that, but sure. I still remember my father as a child using oil and torches to destroy rotweed infestations. It was long and difficult work, for the vine is resistant to fire and difficult to make the flames hot enough to wither the roots. However, I had no such worries as I went out to the garden that morning. The infestation had only just begun, and I had a secret weapon after all. I was a sorcerer. With a vision of how pleased my father would be at the efficiency of my methods, I approached the weed and unleashed my burning hand spell directly onto the vines. And something went wrong, I assume. I made the mistake of approaching the problems without all the necessary data. My actions were logical in the context of my knowledge, but I was operating under a fatally flawed assumption. There was a reason my father used oil and torches to eliminate the infestation rather than sending for the local mages. Magical fire destroys the rotweed, but the intense heat causes the plant to violently explode. The vines burst, spewing out more molten sap that ignited everything it touched. The roots ignited in the earth and columns of flame erupted from the soil, raining down bits of vegetation down all around me. Ooh, that sounds exciting, exploding vegetation. I wish I could have been there. No one was injured, and for at least I'm grateful, but by the time the fire brigade had doused all the flames, all three houses were ruined, and my father's prize-winning garden was nothing but ash. Wow, that really was some impressive fire then. You were supposed to look after a garden. Instead, you tore 3 houses into ash. That's hilarious. Your callous mockery of my pain is as cruel as it is unnecessary. I cannot understand the pleasure you take in the suffering from others. I refuse to discuss this anymore with you. Not while you're in such a cruel and spiteful mind. Let us return to our mission. I hope that did not end the quest. We did get some points toward evil. But come on, that is sort of hilarious.
I hoped that you would return, so I waited here. I've hardly damaged anything since you left. I thought you'd be proud.
Yes,
May
very
I join
proud.
with you once more, my friend?
You at least you are a lot safer than Bobby Knock here. That's cruel. Actually, let's first check something
Is there
out.
something you need?
Okay, can't continue there. We might have killed it, but oh well, it's Bobby Knock. I don't care that much.
I
Linu.
hoped that you would return, so I...
Okay, let's
Hey there,
have a
dear.
chat with
What can I
Linu.
do for you?
I do want to look in her inventory first, though. Make sure she hasn't, like, lose her equipment the moment we tell her to level up. So we'll just take all the potions she has. Probably can't take a Fist of the Legion off her. Oh, we can. Okay, that's nice. It's very inconsistent about what you can sometimes take back from them and what you can't. So we'll just take the potions.
Hey there, dear. What can I do for you?
So then we tell her to level up. Now she has a slightly greenish
Hey there, dear.
cloak.
What can I do for you?
Alright, let's continue her story. She also fully back up healed. Okay. If you want to know more about how Synth wants my heart, Elsuan, I guess I could tell you about it. I couldn't face Synth since our embarrassing encounter. I had decided never to be near him again. Easier said than done, dealing with a daring adventurer. One night, he scaled up a 10-story wall of my parents' home and climbed into the window. 10-story wall? Your parents must have been rich, or lived in some sort of flat. Well, it's not 10 stories anymore, not since the explosion. But that's a different story, not one I want to get into. Aha! So you two have something in common, you both blew up houses. What? Yeah, you are all a bunch of house-breaking psychos, aren't you? Yeah. Oh, well, let's ignore this. As he began to quietly serenade me, I sat bolt upright in my bed and opened my mouth to scream. He jumped towards me to quiet me, but I didn't know it was him, so I brought my foot up and kicked him right in the jaw. He stumbled backwards and out into the balcony. I leaped up and continued my attack, but when I got to the balcony, I saw his face in the moonlight, and he was holding his jaw, his face wrinkled in pain. So did you fully break his jaw? I just bruised him, but it must have hurt a lot, because when I realized what I had done, I moved to help him, and he must have thought I was attacking him again. He leapt over the edge of the balcony, and since he didn't want to have to hurt me to stop me, or so he said, since he didn't want to have to hurt me to stop me, or so he said later, I thought he would fall and kill himself, so I ran over to stop him. He had grabbed the edge of the balcony floor between the rails and was trying to swing himself towards one of the lower terraces. I didn't see his fingers, though. Okay, dear, tell me you didn't. I stepped right on his right hand, causing him to slip off the edge, and he managed to hang on with his left hand, though. Fearing he would die, I called him on Saline for strength to save him. I felt the power flow into my muscles and reached over the edge, grabbing his hand. I pulled, I heard a loud popping noise and hauled him over the wall, dislocated shoulder and all. Well, at least he survived. Love hurts, as they say. I didn't think he was terribly thankful at first. He just lay on the balcony trying to hold his shoulder and rub his jaw. I was trying to apologize, but he just kept on begging me not to touch him. Well, that's a rare thing for a romantic first date, with a man begging you not to touch him. Finally, I got frustrated with his protests, and I grabbed his shoulder and popped it back into place, then cast a healing spell on him to relieve the pain. So I assume he forgave you? I never gave him a chance to think about it. I helped him up, kissed him soundly, and then let him into my bed chambers and removed any thoughts of flight for his mind. Well, good for you. We were very close after that night, and we were married a year later. Those were the happiest years of my life. I just wish they would have lasted. And what exactly happened to him? I can't talk about that right now. Memories are too unpleasant. Oh, I am sure. Let us not talk about this right now. Hunted raiding death. Yeah, okay. So we had all the companion stories and we're kind of back at where we were. So that seems like quite an episode for one day. Join me next time when we go back to adventuring instead of talking. Till then, bye-bye.